Hello, and welcome to the Inside Out Shift, the podcast where we talk about what it really looks like to leave the 9 to 5 or your traditional career, trust yourself more deeply, and build a business that fits who you are. And I'm Evgenia Baikova, business mindset strategist, leadership coach, and Gallup certified strengths coach. I help women get clear on what they do, trust their strengths, and build businesses that feel aligned, sustainable, and profitable. And today I'm joined by Jennie López, and Jennie is the founder of Intentional Unicorn. Well, just think about that. And she helps high achieving professionals own their voice, activate their unique superpowers, and create lives and careers with more alignment, joy, and impact. Sounds like a dream. Originally, she is from Puerto Rico. Jennie came to the United States to earn her master's degree in chemical engineering and went on to build an incredible 23-year corporate career in Fortune 500 companies. And her work has included leadership roles in manufacturing, quality, global brand leadership, operations, talent acquisitions, including serving as VP, high level, and head of global recruiting and talent acquisition at Eli Lilly. And she's also an author and speaker, and not just a regular one. She's a TEDx speaker, coach, podcast co host, and someone who truly lives her message of authenticity and bringing all who you are in the work you do. Jennie, I'm so glad that you are here.
We're going to have so much fun. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course, yeah. And I would like to start with my usual question. After all those years in corporate, what did you first start? When did you first start feeling like the life you built I cannot talk. Well,
This is beautiful. I know, like no longer, right, was a line.
yes. So let's start again. Okay. After all of those years in corporate, when did you first start feeling like the life you built no longer felt quite right?
It's interesting, Evgenia. If you would have said, even like 10 years ago, hey, Jenny, do you want to start a business? I would have said no, like no. Because for the longest time, my career was the only thing that I was focused on.
Mhm.
And a lot of people will tell you, oh, I left the 9 to 5 because I was in burnout or my boss or my team. I always say I left my favorite job, I left my favorite team and my favorite supervisor, which is not the normal story that you
Yeah,
hear.
absolutely.
In 2020, I think that was a pivotal year for many people, and people started having babies or puppies. Well, I had my own baby and was this company. I had this realization that I live the life with the lessons, the ups and downs for a reason. So I am in a chapter of life that is more about impact. So for me, it's like reflecting back, gosh, how amazing I've had a career, but nobody knows how hard and challenging it was. Probably harder than many of my counterparts because I didn't write the definition of success. So that's what inspired me to write the book first. And the book ended up being an Amazon bestseller and said, oh gosh, this is needed. Like people are resonating with the message. And I started my business in 2020 as an author, as a motivational speaker, and then also
Mhm.
building a program so you can also understand what are your superpowers and you can, I always say monetize them, but then people think, oh, you're teaching people how to be influencers. I'm like, no. You can, you just build a brand to make sure that people trust you.
Mhm.
But why you decide to build this up to you. It doesn't matter if it's an actual service business or a coaching business or whatever business, right? B2B, B2C. But I think that personal branding is really important. So I don't think there was a moment that said, I had it, no more. But it got to the point that I love so much my business because my original plan was to retire early at 55 and then just focus on the business. But
Mhm.
after 4 years of doing both at the same time, I said, gosh, I love the impact I'm having, right? I mean, for me, it was more about impact, less about me, and
Mhm.
how much more impact I will have if I'm only focusing on this. So that's when I made the decision that thank you, career. I love your career, but I'm ready for my next chapter. And I did the shift 2 years ago where I'm only
Yeah,
focusing on my business.
I love that because it's kind of a happy end with your career, right? Like, okay, bye bye, I
Yes.
love you, but well, I'm ready for something new.
Yes.
And you know that when we are changing our paths, something has to change.
Mhm.
And when you started building your own business, what part
Yes.
of you had changed the most?
I think it was for the longest time, I was more like, go, 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 next step, because that's how I grew up. The
Mhm.
definition of success was your role. And the higher you get, the more successful you are. So it was more about the flashlight on me. And yes, at the same time, I liked it because I was opening a new path for Latinos out there, because what I achieved in my career is not very common, at least in these
Mhm.
days. So I always attach that the higher I go, the more of a role model I can become for our Latino community. But then it just changed, right? It was like that go, go, go until when? Like when am I gonna be, oh, I made it? There's no point, right? So I say, what about if I, in this next chapter of my life, I start saying success is about growth and impact, not about title. So that was really the biggest change. No more about title. The title doesn't define me. What defines me is how much more I grow, how much experiences and
Mhm.
skills I get, and how much more impact I can have out there in our community, and for me globally. Like that's really the vision.
Yeah, and this is fascinating because you know that um, that's kind of an inner shift, and it's such a big part of your journey.
Mhm.
Because well, when you are building something different, it actually asks a different version of you to step in or to come forward, and this is
Yes.
exactly how you were describing your way. And you know that I like how you're talking about superpowers and other things like that all like already exist in us. And my next question will be about the strengths or skills. So, what is one strength or skill you had for years, but only really saw the value of after you left your career?
Yeah, I think honestly, so a superpower that when people see me, they're like, "Oh, your energy, right?" Like that's one of the first things I get compliment. So I think I've always been aware of it. I'm
Mhm.
gonna ask the question, answer the question in two sides. That one, I was so ashamed of it in my career,
Mm,
so I suppressed it because I thought it was playing against me. But somehow along the career, I said, you know what? This actually is my separator, my differentiator, and I started to hone on it on an intentional way, and that's how I was able to become the leader I became and how I was able to grow. So that one I was ashamed, but then I turned it on, like, you know what, I'm gonna go intentional with it. The one that looking back, you can never connect the dots forward. My career took different turns, just like you mentioned at the beginning. I started in manufacturing, then I went to the business side, ended up in HR. And what you didn't mention is that in parallel, I also had a career as a professional dancer, and we can
mhm.
talk about that later. But I always felt like, gosh, looking back is so many things, right? Like there's nobody can really make sense out of like what's my trajectory. But now looking back, that diversity of experiences is what helps me connect with so many clients, diverse clients. It doesn't matter if they come from the entertainment or from corporate or from science, or I can always connect with them and help them. So I think that's a superpower that I'm more intentional about it, the diversity of experiences that I had and how I can help others.
And you know that this is actually so important. It's like your key or core thing, right? Knowing who you are, and especially that you are embracing your experience, you're embracing all parts of you. And this is exactly how I like teach my clients to not forget who are you, do not
Yeah.
cancel your experience, because actually what why people are coming to you because they're finding some similarities.
Yes.
Oh, you were a dancer. I used to dance too. Like, oh, you were
Right.
there. I was there too. You know that all that things, like all the connections. You know that even a couple of days ago, I made a fun but real cool connection with a person who was attracted by this thing. He came to me and asked, "Where did I get it?" You know, so you never know. Yeah, and this
Yes.
is the way how we show up. And I'm not talking about just jewelry, right? We are talking about energy and superpowers and other stuff. But
Yes.
you know that being self-aware is a great asset. So we
Yes.
were talking about like what helps you to move forward, but also I believe that you have something like one habit or mindset from corporate that you actually had to let go of. And so can you talk about that, please?
You know what? I'm actually writing a book right now. I already wrote one, but one of them is that transition from corporate to now, because nobody prepares you to that. Like there's so many different things, and I can talk to you about 10 different points, but I think one of them is that I didn't realize I had it so much is that seeking for approval. Because in corporate, you're always seeking for approval. You
Mhm.
get the approval from your boss or your boss's boss, and you need that consensus before you move forward. And there's always like a path that you follow. Somebody
Mhm.
a path that somebody lived before, and then now that's your new path. And when you are an entrepreneur, there's no such thing, right? You have a canvas that you are. And then what I caught myself, Evgenia, like I had many multiple coaches, and I was seeking their approval. Like, what? But do you think I'm ready to do that? Do you
Oh.
think I'm ready to do that? And they will give me like, hey, so do that. Like, oh, somebody. It was always seeking for approval. And I had one coach. He was one of those that he has a really interesting background. But he's like, Jenny, like, stop waiting, stop asking for my approval. Like, I'm not your dad.
Mhm. Oh, funny. Yes.
Bigger takeaway. I'm like, oh my goodness, if I always seek for approval, I'm not going to be able to grow this big vision that I have.
Yeah.
The more people you ask, the more coaches you get, and the more people just everybody's going to give you a different insight.
Mhm.
And if you ask for approval or wait for consensus, you're going to get stuck, right? So it's almost like listen to all of the people who have done it before, right? And they're all
Mhm.
going to have their own journey. Listen, connect to your intuition, understand how that in context with the chapter where you're at, make a decision and go, right? It's either going to work or you're going to learn and make it better.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest mindset that I didn't realize. I was so used to ask for approval before moving forward, which I thought it was such an independent, corporate career, and that's how
Mhm.
I my
Mhm.
career. But I was in that external approval a lot, and I'm so happy that I was able to break through that.
And can you share? Probably you have a secret, or you have a kind of ritual how to trust yourself more. Like, well, we know that when we are looking for that validation, that means that we are actually lacking internal one, and it's
Yes,
always about trust. So,
yes.
can you like teach us something like a secret?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually just did a YouTube video and more details about this, but it's the whole thing about how to make decisions, right? As an entrepreneur, because there's no such thing as the perfect decision, right?
Mhm.
And the pros or cons. But I will always say, first of all, make sure that you have more than two things, because if it's either you do or you don't, you're in a dilemma the whole time. So always make sure that you have at least three different options when you're making a decision
Mhm.
with your outcome in mind. And then based on your outcome in mind, and if you have more than one outcome, make sure that you force rank them, because not
Mhm.
everything, even though everything is important, you have to force rank them so then you can evaluate all your options with the pros and cons and with the information you have, and evaluating what does that mean in the chapter where I'm at and the vision that I have. You make a decision and you make it right. And the beautiful thing, Evgenia, is that I believe in God. I believe that God and the universe are always protecting you. As long as you are very clear on what you're driving, every decision is gonna be the right one, because you can never connect the dots forward. You can only connect them backwards. And I was having a conversation with my husband yesterday, and then he was like, Jenny, isn't funny that even the decisions that we make, that we say, oh, I probably would have taken another decision if I would have not, in 2020, all of
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But because of that decision, I was able to meet this person, and this person connected me with this person. And that's why I was able to realize this deal. And every single situation, everything happens for a reason. You may not know now. It may be that it's going to teach you the resilience that you need for something bigger that is coming for
Mhm.
you. You're not aware of it. So just take that decision, trust with yourself. Make sure that you have empty space in your life to listen to yourself. Don't go, 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 go. Uh, have quiet time. I force myself to sometimes just look at the lake here. No headphones, no music, just
Oh,
stare.
yes.
And I get the most beautiful, magical downloads, right? Or clarity in those moments where I say, I put the timer, 10 minutes, nothing, no noise, no
Mhm.
nothing, and connect with yourself.
Yeah, and this is so powerful, and I would like us to continue talking about decision making because,
Mhm.
well, we are making decisions every time, and we are doing that like on a constant basis. I would say, even what to wear, what to eat, how to talk to your kids, and other stuff. I'm not talking about the business part of that, right? But also that I believe that you made tons of decisions when you were preparing your pitch, when you were preparing to talk about your offer. So I'm just wondering, was there a moment when you became clearer on what you really do and how to talk about it?
Oh, girl, that's always evolving. You know that, right? Like you have a draft that you start with, and then you
Mhm.
learn from it, and you make it better, and you make it better, and you make it better. I think at the beginning, the trap that I went, that the learning is that I just wanted to be that somebody for everybody, right? So I wasn't
Yeah.
really very clear into who I could help. So the less you start thinking to make it perfect, just come up with something and then try it, get the feedback, what worked, what didn't work, and make it better. So you're always evolving with that. I think my very first coaching program or transformation program, it went well, but I learned from them. Like everybody gave me feedback though. I wish it would have included this. I wish it included that. And
Mhm.
that helped me getting the coaching program that I have had now for 4 years, and it's been very successful. And now I'm thinking about how can I make it better and tailor it for Fortune 500, or this is the path that you go if you want to become an entrepreneur. So you just continue to make it better and better. So in terms of clarity, there's not an end game. You just continue to learn, make it better, and as you continue to scale, you'll see more opportunities.
Yeah, and I love that you were bringing that the point that you are evolving, that your message
Yes,
is evolving, because again, it's all about, like you shared, when you are making decisions, you are operating with the data that you have right now in the moment, and when
yes,
the you are moving forward, when you are experimenting, when you are experiencing the work with your clients, you see some other like dots and you can connect them. But also, you know, that another thing is that how to stay like true to yourself when we know there are so many other experts, tons of them actually, who will
yes.
teach you what you had to do, like what you have to do, what you had to do in the past so that you are successful, like that you can even become a millionaire overnight by following a formula. So, what are you doing with that, and what actually helps you to stay grounded and trust yourself?
Well, I've always learned, right? Like go and learn, and then I teach you what worked and what didn't work. But I think right now I'm telling you, I'm in a detox of coaches
Yes.
because I started like going all in. So I went all in with like Tony Robbins was my coach for 3 years, and I went with Dan Martell, Dean Gracio's big names, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
they helped me a ton. Like I'm really not never gonna be talking bad about them, but there's some things when it comes to formulas that they will teach you from the context from where they are right now. And you cannot compare,
Exactly.
right, apples to bananas or apples to candy, not even in the same family. So, you start thinking and then you start doing what they tell you, but it doesn't work.
Mhm.
That's what I always
Mhm.
say. Get the feedback and translate into what matter. And what does that mean in the chapter where you are right now? So I'm learning all of that and how to translate it to the chapter where I'm right now, but still be very, how do you say, gosh, very clear with what was my outcome. So I'm in a detox with some of those coaches and getting, okay, so this is my next milestone. Who has done it before the way I want to do it or similar? And let
Mhm.
me just connect with that. So I have the big vision that I have, and then I have the next milestone, if that makes sense. The other thing is that once you make a decision, like don't overthink it. So I'll tell you, when it comes to lead magnets, right, to like lead generation, I've done organic for the past 6 years. So that's been my jam, social media, how I bring, but I'm like, how do I scale it to this next milestone?
Mhm.
So I explore different things. I did the method that I just share here. And then I decided to go with paid ads. Girl, you have no idea how many people are like, you're wasting your money. That's the worst
Of
decision
course. Yeah, yeah,
ever.
yeah. I have heard the same.
I
Mhm.
had another, how do you say, another coach again. It's like, that was the worst decision you made because you need to do it with AI. And at the end, I'm saying, wait a second, like I'm actually getting coached with like one of the best companies ever in paid ads. No paid ads for the high ticket item that I sell. So it's very specific. This is all
Mhm.
they do, and they're so successful at it. I'm going to go in, I'm going to make it work, and I'm going with
Yeah.
certainty. These
Mhm.
other people who are telling me I'm wasting my money, they're not the experts in paid ads, and because of that it didn't work for them. So that's why listen to the people who are qualified to give you advice. It's like asking, for financial investment advice from people who are broke, right? Or like marriage advice for people who are separated. So
Yeah.
always ask for advice for people that are qualified to do so.
Oh, this is so good. And I also was thinking, like you were sharing all your experiences with other coaches. Like I think it's important to understand in what season are you in,
Yes.
then hire the person who can help you go through. And if you want to go like level up, well, find another one, and that's how you are progressing, right? So it is impossible to move on with those who help you stabilize, like, or be stable at this level, right? So
Yes.
to find someone like you were mentioning, okay, I will find someone who is the best in paid ads, right? And it's working. And
Yes.
I am here with you because, well, I tried many things, and yeah, I have heard the same, like, well, you are wasting your money. But, well, we know that algorithm is so stubborn, I would say. How can you get more people see what you do? And this is paid ads,
Yes.
right? This is now, it seems like now it's the only thing, because organic, well, you can do that, but how much time do you have? Yeah, that's another question. And also, what is the quality of your content? That's
Yeah.
another one, because, well, you probably have tons of content, but what if the words are not right or they're not landing? So that means that your audience will be shrinking. And so, what's the way out? And different paths, I would say, or different suggestions will work for different businesses. It
Yeah.
depends on what you want, it depends on in what you believe, right?
Yes, yes, you're so right. There's not a one size fits all, right?
Mhm.
Paid ads, the person who told me that he was an expert in AI, that paid ads will not work. The more questions I asked him about what was his strategy, was the opposite of my strategy. So of course, paid ads was not going to work for him. Like, it makes sense, but for my strategy, it works really well. So, like you said, make sure you know where the chapter where you're at, and
Mhm.
where you're eating. The one that I will add, Evgenia, to what you said is that I am very grateful that I started with like big coaches, because they helped me dream bigger. I think
Yes.
if I would have just started like a little bit and a little bit, like kind of that linear path that
Mhm.
we're used to in corporate America, we would have built it a little bit painful, a little bit. And right now, how I'm building it is that I'm gonna be compounding until I get the next big jump.
Mhm.
Right? It's not gonna be linear. It's gonna be more like this, and then boom, there's a big jump. If I don't build it that way right now, it will be a little bit more difficult to do it later. So I
Of
like
course.
that I have that big, like,
Mhm.
dream
Mhm.
big, but understand what's your next milestone. But that you build it with a way that is to achieve
Mhm.
the big vision.
Yeah, it's like reverse engineering, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying to all of my clients that having a vision, actually, this is number one thing that you need to have, not your
Yes.
website, not
Yes.
your card, like a
Thank
business card. No, no,
you.
the vision. And then you can use that reverse engineering, and you can create your next steps, how you are actually getting to what you really want.
Yeah.
And yes, and you know that we were talking about many things, but also, I want to ask you this. Well, we are conditioned by our backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
Especially that those who spent like 10, 15, 20 plus years in corporate. Have you ever caught yourself slipping back into overworking or trying to
Yeah.
prove yourself? And what helped you shift out of that?
Yeah. Perimenopause. I am not exaggerating, because for the longest time, like, as a engineer, I've always been in a male dominated
Yes.
industry, always.
Mhm.
And for the longest time, I'm very feminine the way I talk and my energy, the way I dress, but how I work is very masculine, like go, 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 right? And I've always done it. I never thought it was any different, like,
Mhm.
or anything wrong with it, because that was my personal SOP, and I was used to it. That's what I had to do to be successful in corporate.
Mhm.
So when I transitioned into entrepreneur, I gravitated towards all male coaches as well. And they are all
Mhm.
like, go, 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 right? And then I go to this wonderful stage of life of perimenopause, and I'm like, what in the world? This is not working. I don't understand my body. And then I came to the place that if I don't work, I feel like I'm lazy, that my business is going to die because I have to go, go, go and do.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, I have learned so much to appreciate my body, appreciate my hormones, understand that we have a different flow that our male counterparts, and Yeah, waking up at 4:30 in the morning every day and go, go, go for them works fine, but it doesn't work with our biology, right? So really understanding how to understand where I need to recharge. So whenever I have all of my internal chemicals, right, beautiful hormones ready to go full out, I can take advantage of those peaks and really get the best. So I actually just did a YouTube video about this, about the beauty of that
Nice.
feminine energy versus the
Yeah.
masculine energy. You have to understand when to switch from one to the other, but it's more about grace, it's more about creativity, it's about smart working smarter, not harder, right? We have heard all of that, but what does that mean? And then the other thing is that having that intuition, like connect with that intuition, because we have that. That's our secret superpower for women. But if we go, 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 we're never gonna connect with that beautiful intuition. So ever since I started doing that and not do everything, it's like what are the things that are really truly moving the needle? And like get the best at it and go and focus on that. That's whenever my business finally started to like get up again, which I'm really
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, this is so beautiful. And you know that you reminded me about one conference I attended a couple of years ago, and we were talking about um, what was it? Time management. And the lady who delivered a speech, she started that she started her speech with an interesting data, like why all that time management books are not working for women,
Hmm.
because 70% of them were written by men.
True,
Yeah. See the
true,
difference? We can
true.
feel that. And it's
Yeah,
not just about hormones, it's about how we are wired, it's about how our brain is working, it's about our roles. That we are not just workers.
yeah.
Yeah. We are wearing, I don't know, dozens of hats every day.
We are, yes. And I think because of that, we do have experience on how to make it work in a beautiful way. We're very creative, right? On how to,
Yeah.
before incorporate, do our job and still be present with the kids and still plan the vacations and still have time with our,
Mhm.
partners and spouses. And we need to know that we are, that's our superpower, like creativity, the being in that like creation and the flow. It's a beautiful thing. I had one of my mentors who he talks about the concept of a perfect week, and it's really useful in terms of being organized, because you don't wanna be like this every week. And for people who are not watching, I'm just like covering my eyes. You want to make sure that there's discipline, right, in how you do things. But his concept is like there's no free time. Every hour is scheduled. Otherwise, I'm like, I dude, like go, yay, you. That's not me. I need
Mhm.
my time to recharge, and that's how I can be better and be here for a long time, not only for my kids but for my clients and my beautiful husband.
Yes, and even for ourselves, right? Because it seems like we are guilty not having time, or even we're not scheduling it for ourselves, and then we feel guilty about that again. It's like double guilty. I don't know what is it. But it seems like now we're talking about self leadership, and I would like to ask you, how do you lead yourself now
Yep.
compared to how you worked in your corporate career?
Yeah, there's concepts that I have continue, because the reason I was able to manage both the career of engineering and
Mhm.
executive leader and also dancing is because I was very structured. So that structure with my time did not go away. One of the things that I love to do is the whole concept of needle movers, and I talk about it about in my book and teach my clients. And it's not about having this like crazy never ending to-do list, right? Because at the end of the day, even if you do 18 of the 20, you still go to bed mad because of those two that you didn't check, right?
Mhm.
But
Yep.
busy work doesn't mean work that is going to actually move the needle. So I'm always very proactive in saying, what are my top 1 to 3 things that I'm doing that day? I'm not procrastinating, I'm scheduling, and I'm going to feel so darn good because they're actually moving the needle in my business or in my life, right? Because it could be
Mhm.
something related to kids or my family. So I don't think there's anything drastically changed that I've done, because I've always been very self-disciplined because I had more than one job before. So
Mhm.
I don't think anything changed. I'm just and again, for some people, I think the biggest change, because I've seen in some of my clients, is that before they had an office to go, right? And everything is scheduled by the meetings they have. And now it's the house, and they're like, oh, how do I make
Oh, I
myself
can do whatever I want to. Yeah.
can take a nap and I get distracted. So that's why discipline is really very, very important. So I can go in even more details, because I have a whole module that talks about It's about focus management. It's not
Mhm.
time management anymore.
Yep.
Where your focus goes, energy flows, just like Tony Robbins
Mhm.
says. And also the identity. You have to level up your identity, because if you are a CEO, then operate like one, right? And
Yeah.
the CEO that you want to operate is it taking naps, is it watching Netflix, right? Is it in TikTok endlessly for minutes, with no objective. So identity for me is really, really important.
Yeah, I'm writing it down. Level up your identity. I really like that.
Yes.
I was about to say something, and that slipped away. Okay, never mind.
No worries, we'll come
Yeah,
back.
I hope so. I hope so. Another thing that I wanted to ask you, well, you are so experienced and you went through ups and downs and you were everywhere. Like you experienced that roller coaster and what are you looking for? Like, this is my success. I do know what I am like. How I am getting there. Like the steps, you have the processes, you have great self awareness here. And what would you say to a woman who feels ready for change but doesn't not yet like know exactly what she wants to build or what's the calling?
What they're calling, or their journey, or the journey to get there?
Yeah, the journey.
Okay. So in terms of the journey, girl, I don't know all the steps. I'm glad that you think I do. But like, no, nobody knows, right? I think for me it starts, and is the what I coach my clients to. You start first with like, what's the thing that you wanna, and I know your other question was about how do you know what's the thing, right? But let's start with,
Yes.
for example,
Mhm.
what you're looking for, what you're driving towards. So start with that, and don't go with the how do I do it, right? Because if you have not done it before,
Mhm.
you're gonna stop yourself with like, I'm not good enough, I've never done it, all these limiting beliefs. Just the second thing that you ask yourself is why this is so important. So then it gives you like the yumminess to keep going even when things don't go according to plan. Why this is so meaningful, why
Mhm.
now? And then the third thing is that, okay, how do I get there? The thing is that you will never know the exact pathway, right? You're going to have an internal Waze or Google Maps that you know what's the next step. And then the whole thing is going to be like recalculating, right? Like
Mhm.
then the next step is going to uncover the next step. I'm telling you an example. One of my big things last year was about visibility. How can I be more visible? And at Genia, I thought I was going to be a YouTube superstar. So I spent 30K in this YouTube agency that, by the way, did not work. So that was a painful lesson learned, but it didn't work, right? But I'm like, okay, visibility. Out of nowhere, the vice president of Los Angeles Tribune reaches out to me, and he says, you have an interesting background from your entertainment career and your engineering business career. Can we talk? And that's giving me a platform that wasn't even on my mind. I didn't even know Los Angeles Tribune was going to be now this big umbrella where I was going to have my visibility, not only in Indiana, not only in
Mhm.
the US, but globally. So when I tell you that I believe in God and the universe, he's like kind of smiling, looking at you. Little did you know, right? The big plan that I have for you. But you have to take that action towards, what is the outcome that you
Mhm.
want. And then the
Yeah.
next action will uncover the next action.
And
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, so your other question was about, so how do I know? Like, what's that thing? And I think that takes time. Like, I don't think I knew exactly about this vision, like I told you 10 years ago, right? If your podcast about going from something and then I say, okay, great, right? Sit with that. Understand how life in 5 years looks with that in respect with what's important to you, like work-life integration, having still time with your daughter because she has a younger daughter, continue to have the time with the husband, being able to travel the world with all of that that is very authentic to each of you, and then say, okay, you know what? Based on all of this, I'm going to prioritize this space and go with that. In the journey, you may learn that you love it and like, I got it right, or you may quickly learn that this is not what I thought. Fine, pivot. Like the Friends episode, pivot, right? Like it's totally fine. That's it. This journey is actually not boring because of it.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And you know that I remembered what I wanted to mention before. So you were talking about focus, and I think that it's the most important thing together with prioritizing.
Yes,
Otherwise, you will find yourself busy, your calendar will be full, you will be exhausted by the end of the day.
always. Yes,
Actually, you're not moving anywhere,
right.
right? Because, well, you will do whatever you like put on your schedule. But if
Yeah,
it's not important, you just keep yourself busy with something which is not moving your business, which is not bringing in clients
it's-
or some other things.
that's
Yeah.
what you need to understand when you are when you start working on the next offer product that you have. Where do you start? You start with your outcome. Always outcome first.
Yes, outcome first. Well, it seems like internet connection is not the best. Sometimes you're frozen, but well, I think that we will continue. And yeah, really? Well, I see that. But okay, I think that well, the sound, at least the sound is great. And I have the last question for you because, I
Okay.
like fun, and it seems like we are missing some fun in our life. And this is my favorite question that I ask everyone on my podcast. If your journey from 9 to 5, where to where you are now, had a theme song, what would it be and why?
Living la vida loca because it's about it's fun. Honestly, I'm in the journey, right? And I know that's such a superficial song, but for me, it's like I love Ricky Martin. He's from Puerto Rico. I dance to that song, and I love to dance. But life can be an adventure. You experience a lot. So some people you say life is, and you fill the blank, and then some people will be like, oh, life is difficult. Life, just not for the check, the check at the end of the day, but for the person you become. The more difficult the person you.
Let's do this. Okay. So this is my favorite question because I think that we are missing some fun in our life, and I love this question because it's about your journey. And if you have a thing song that can describe your journey from 9 to 5 to where you are now, what would it be and why?
You're gonna laugh. It's like the upside, inside down, living la vida loca of
Yeah,
Ricky
I know the
Martin.
song.
But
Yeah.
I mean, life is hard. That's what people may tell you, right? I love the exercise when they say life is and then fill the blank. And so people will be like, oh, it's hard, life is challenging, life is a drag. Or for me, life is adventure, life is about change, about learning. And I love that song first because it's from Ricky Martin. He's from Puerto Rico. It makes me want to dance. I love to dance, but it's about fun, having fun in the journey. And at the end of the day, it's not because you want to achieve that thing at the end. The thing is just an outcome, but you do it because of the person you become when you achieve that crazy big bold goal. The bigger the goal, the more challenging it is, the bigger person you become, the more resilient, the more able to face any kind of challenge, and the bigger impact you can have. So, yeah, living la vida loca and with intention.
Yes, I love that. And I also had a discussion with my husband recently. We were talking about the same topic, like, well, is life hard, or this is how you see that, and this is what you get because how you see what through what lenses you see your life. I
True.
love that because it's actually all about the vision, and we talked about that today, right? It's all about how what you want in your life, how you see yourself in this life, and it's about trust. And well, Jenny, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story and your honesty and your perspective. And thank you, everyone listening and watching. Well, we had some technical issues today, but that's okay. That's is life is lifing, right? And if this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who may need to hear that. And if you are building a business after a traditional career or thinking about making that move, this is the work I do. I help women get clear on what they do, how to talk about it, and how to build a business around their strengths instead of guessing their way through it. And if you'd like to work with me, or if you have a story you'd love to share, well, reach out. And to connect with Jenny and learn more about what she has to offer, well, we are sharing all the links in the note descriptions. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye.